On this edition of the Victor Ayara Show, my guest is Ying Sa, certified public accountant and CEO of Community CPA. Ying Sa is also the co-founder of Immigrant Entrepreneurs Summit. Thank you for joining us on the Victor Ayara Show. My name is Victor Ayara. My guest on this edition of the program who is someone who has dedicated her life to helping people. Join me and welcome the president and founder of Community CPA in the Greater Des Moines Area. She's also the founder of the Immigrant Entrepreneurs Summit. Ying Sa, thank you so much for agreeing to sit with me. A lot of people don't know your story. What is your story, Ying Sa?
Okay, helping people to start business, that is my passion.
Okay.
To see other immigrants to be successful just like how I do it for myself. And that is my dream. So everyone I help, if they can start a business and be successful, that for me is a dream come true. So you imagine living in that kind of a dream come true, everyday life, that is amazing. So personally, I immigrated twice. One time from China to Canada, and the second time from Canada to US. None of those times are smooth immigration processes. You go through heartaches and you think you're never going to get your paper. So I come through just like everybody else, and for the immigration process from Canada to US, and me and my husband, we got into a situation where no one else had that situation before. So our paper was literally in the process for 8 years. And 8 years not knowing whether you're going to go back to Canada or you're going to stay in the US, that's a long time. And 8 years in your 30s, I think is really a prime time for anyone to start a career. So we just made a conscientious decision that even though we're waiting for paper, even though we're temporary, even though we are Canadian, wanting to be American, kind of American, but we started to do work just as if we're going to be here forever. So that's how we are here in the US. And I moved to US in 1996. I started Community CPA in 1998. By now, we just celebrated our 20 years. And for IES Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit, where I and two other immigrants, we founded that nonprofit. That one started in 2008, so marked its 10th year in 2017.
Wow. So within 2 years of being in the US, you started your own company.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Wow.
I think just like a lot of us, when we come to US, whether we heard from other people or it's just our friend, and it is a place where you can build your dream, right? We have this, what we call the American dream. So I'm not different than anybody else. I came here, I felt America offers me better place to realize my dream than in Canada. So that's why I come to US. And, I didn't wait. I want to start something. The honest truth is that I didn't really have any business background. It's not like my parents are business entrepreneurs, so I understand how to do business. And my parents are scholars, and they're Chinese from China, and my dad is a professor. So back home in China at that age, people don't allow to do commerce. The communists cut down all the commerce, and you either work for the government or you work for the government. So there's no free trade and things like that. So I was absolutely not educated for business. So when I came to US, and I didn't really know where to begin, just like many of the other immigrants. And we have a dream, but we don't know where to begin. What I felt very lucky is when I moved into US, almost the first month, and I was working, I actually found a job at Iowa State University. And so I have an office and I have a nameplate on my door called financial manager or business manager, I think. And so this custodian is a Vietnamese person. And he came in and with the IRS letter. I didn't even know what IRS stands for at the time. I just moved to US. So he said, I saw your nameplate. Looks like you're good with business. Can you help me with this? So he gave me that letter. I read it and I'm like, okay, I need more time. So I told him, go home and come back tomorrow and I will get that resolved for you. So the letter says that he'll get $600 some refund back because he filed his taxes wrong. And so when he came back next day, I said, you should be getting your refund very soon and you are getting your money back. This is not a notice for you to pay, but he thought he was going to pay. He couldn't believe it. So, but next day, the following day, he came back and goes, Ying, you are godsend. I got $600 from IRS. So that became a legendary for me, even though I didn't do anything, because he trusted that I made that happen.
To explain what it was to him.
No, he literally believed that I am the one turned money he's supposed to pay to be the refund coming back to him.
Wow.
So he gave me that much superpower, which I really don't have. But the result is there's 20 people lined up wanting to see me. And then in 2000, I'm already handling very publicized cases in Des Moines, where is an Asian grocery store owner was buying fish from homeless people. The fish were from Des Moines River, so it is regarded as commercializing wildlife. So they were charged with penalty and probation, just hefty charges for that unknowing kind of behavior. So what we did is I worked with the attorney and worked with Drake Legal Clinic. So we actually realized that is the attorney who represented this Asian grocery store did not do a good job. He didn't understand what's going on. So we reversed that case 4 years later in 2004. But by going through all of these work for the community, which I didn't really, I'm not there to charge anybody money. I just want the right thing to happen to our community. So with that, this business person said that, Ying, I want to buy you a car. And I said, I don't need a car. He goes, I want to do something for you. Then he cleaned up one of the warehouse, goes, Ying, I want you to come here to work your community CPA here. There's so many people need you. I won't charge you rent. You start.
Wow.
So I started like that. It's not about me. That's why we don't call community CPA a Ying Sa CPA. There's no point. It is not even coming from me. It is really the community brought the best out of me, right? It is our immigrant community here in Des Moines says that we need you and we think you can do it. We're gonna make you do it. So I got office free and I got people coming in and they just believed I have the magic. So that's really how I started Community CPA.
Wow, that is a very remarkable story. I mean, from just helping one person to discovering that this was actually becoming your purpose in this place. Now, I want to ask you, after all said and done, you having to wait 8 years for your papers.
Mm-hmm.
How did that make you feel?
Yes.
So within that time, what was going through your mind, especially when you have come from another country
Right.
and trying to get on your feet?
On December 9th, 2009, and we got a letter from Omaha Immigration Office, asked our whole family to go there because they couldn't give us the paper. So on the way up there, our two little girls are very little at the time. They think they're going to Omaha Zoo. But we're going to Omaha Immigration Office. Steve and I, we were in the car. We didn't even talk to each other because all we are thinking is they're going to send us back to Canada. And I already have kids here, and my husband is a professor at Iowa State University, and I worked for Wells Fargo as a vice president or controllers at that time. So with all of that, and I had in my pocket is a newspaper about my community service, how that impacted the Des Moines area. So I clipped that paper, put it in my pocket. So I went to the immigration office, and the officer just said that, I don't know what to do with your file. Because, long story short, Steve has a J1. We become Canadian. The J1 is with China. So when we go to China trying to waive the J1, Chinese says, you're not Chinese, you're Canadian. But we have a Canadian citizenship, but we are tied into the Chinese visa when Steve was very young. So it was a triangle and no country take responsibility. And it was just difficult. We're the first case in the whole immigration system. So when we went, the officer said that, look, and I don't know what to do with you guys. And I got really emotional. And I put out my paper and I said, look, I make contribution to the community. Steve is your professor educating American kid. And why it is so hard to just let us stay. You have people don't go through the system, can stay, and you don't want us to stay. And then after that very heart-wrenching meeting, and in March we got our paper. And I always said to Steve that officer actually really heard it, and he is making it happen. Of course, our attorney, we spent the equivalent amount of money to buy Mercedes to do our immigration paper. So our first Mercedes, I always say belongs to the attorney. But I'm grateful because there is an attorney helping you, right? And in the process, you get to know the officers in the immigration and look at all these people around me. And, when I talk about my hardship in immigration, people will say that, Ying, just stay on, you will get it. There's so much courage coming from people. And the American people here in Iowa are really very pure-hearted people. They don't really go into a political discussion. Immigration is not about anything, it's about people. There is a very interesting story. Prompt me, Swallow Yan is another Asian gentleman, and Max Cardina, and he is from Peru. So three of us had a meeting. And we realized that for immigrants, when we start doing business, it is not about we don't know how to do business, but we don't understand the regulations and the code, the zonings and things like that. We have a client coming to our firm, and he started an auto repair shop. He come into our firm to do his accounting. He already bought the building to do the car repair shop. He already hired mechanics to start. He's just going to have me and open up the accounting book so he can start operating. What he doesn't know is that building he bought is not zoned for auto repair work. He cannot have an auto repair shop in that zoned building. So those kind of things are people suffers, and he bought a building for nothing. The people who sell the building either don't know what he is using that for, or knowing it and didn't have a knowledge or didn't even tell him. So stories like that is everywhere in my practice, and I have seen people started a bank because they're loaning money, $500 to you, $500 to you in their community, and he's charging interest. And not knowing that it's against the regulation to not have a registered license to do that. So all of these things happen, making us realize that we need to come up with a crash course, just one day. You come, you learn all the regulations so we can do business wisely. So that's really the backdrop of the ideas and why we wanted Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit. It's not about we're new immigrant. It's just about we are so new to the country. We don't know the ropes.
Now tell us about the success stories, because I have happened to attend 2 editions of the Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit. What when you measure, what metrics do you use to measure the success or otherwise of what you're doing at the Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit?
So every year we have immigrant entrepreneurs started a business. So we contact those attendees. So we know who started business. Then we track their business up to 2017. We did a phone survey which we call each business. There are 1,629 of them total. We called each one of them. We asked, can you share with us how much sales you're doing today? Some of them didn't do very well, already closed. Some of them do really well. And the total sales and out of those companies is 39 million. And there's out of those companies, there are 1,600 new jobs. Not the business owner. We're talking about their employees are coming out of this group of people who attended IES. The success is very solid. There's no estimate in our numbers. So this is a huge success for what we think is moving immigrants from social welfare candidate into a giving population. We're giving the society. We're donating to the society. We're hiring people to work. We're producing taxes. So we are becoming a giving community rather than in a lot of people's mind, we're refugees and we can't do much of things. We're taking welfare money, and that transition has already happened in Iowa. We move people from welfare right away into entrepreneurship. And a good example will be Burmese population. There are 200 of them moved in 2009. 2009. In 2 years, there are 2 businesses out of there. In 4 years' time, 70% of them are employed. So we look at those refugee populations and then knowing that we're doing our little part. Of course, there's other people in the community also doing the same thing, but we're talking about collaborative efforts to make the community, the immigrant community in Iowa is vibrant. And
Thank you so much.
we really, we are one. There is no difference between the Chinese, Burmese, the people from the Sudanese, and there's no difference. We're just one, and IES does exactly that. IES ties us up with one American dream. It doesn't matter which part of the world you're coming from.
Thank you so much. And in closing, I'm going to ask you if you are to advise somebody who's watching this show and is thinking about starting his own business or even getting up to do something, because a lot of things are happening in our communities, especially the people I spoke to. I actually know of somebody who is a world-class shoemaker who can actually make shoes, but he has never started a business, even though I tried to talk him into it. And what would you say to such people in closing? What would be your advice to startups?
I would say that if you have a skill that other people don't have, and you are designated to be successful in the US, and if I were that world-class shoemaker, I will just make one pair of shoes and make a good living. You don't have to think, everybody can be an entrepreneur. That doesn't mean you mass produce. You can be an entrepreneur, just be very elite. I think our immigrant population sometimes always striving for cheaper, right? I have to make shoes. I have to make 10,000 of them in order to be successful. No, we are so elite because we have the experience nobody has. We speak the language nobody else speaks, and we know how to integrate our culture into service. Just like community CPA, we serve U.S. laws and U.S. tax laws, right? We do the regular things like other CPA firm does. But we're different because we are so into connecting people. And that's just the culture, the Chinese culture, the immigrant culture, we're just very sensitive to how you feel. And Victor, you're here, we want to make sure you feel like at home. So that is our trademark. Immigrants in U.S. are so wanting to make a home out of here. We all go out of our ways to make other people feel better. And I would say that if you are an immigrant, you have a special skill, and you don't start up your business, you really need to come to see me. I'll make sure you start something. Because you're supposed to be a millionaire here. We all can be.
Thank you so much for Ying Sa. There is so much room at the top for everyone. I want to thank you for not just this interview, but for all that you have done. Every time I speak to you, every time I meet you, I feel encouraged. I feel a little bit more enlightened, because there is a lot of people who do not understand the fact that it could take a few words to just put you back on track, or to reignite or rekindle the flame that you have already on the inside of you. And that's what you do all the time with your trademark smile. Thank you so much. So just what do you do to relax? Because we've been talking about serious stuff.
Yeah, I actually...
Do you dance? Do you listen to music?
I do. I love Christian music, and I'm really into that, and I felt like I know all the songs out there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I like to do yoga and a meditation. So those are my stress reliever. If
do you
we
dance?
ever have a stress. I'm not very good with that. I'm also not good with singing, but I just enjoy when the music is there and those, God words is around you, and that's just the best way to live a life.
Thank you so much, Ying Sa. We have been talking to Ying Sa, who is the founder and the president of the Community CPA here in Des Moines, Iowa. She's also the co-founder of the Immigrant Entrepreneurs Summit, connecting people in the immigrant communities to opportunities and helping them start up their businesses. My name is Victor Ayara, and until I come your way with another interview to inspire and motivate you, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.